Hey everyone, today we're trying something new. I want to test how well a supplementary mini pattern video works with some of my non-pattern videos. For example, today we're going to be trialing doing the wisteria vine pattern from last week's video, which I will link in the description if you would like to check out. I plan for these to be short videos. It's not going to be a full explanation of the entire pattern, just a segment of it, the most interesting segment in my opinion. I'm just trying this because there's a couple of projects that I'm currently working on that I think could benefit from, this sort of format, and I just want to give it a go. So let me know what you think. But for now, let's get into it and start on our wisteria vines here. To make one of the wisteria vines, you can use any yarn weight and hook size. For reference, in this tutorial, I'm going to be using 8-ply yarn and a 4mm hook. Aside from that, all you really need is a pair of scissors, and a stitch marker is optional but recommended. To start off, you'll just want to make a slip knot. And then you're going to chain. This first series of chains that we're going to make represents the space between your slip knot and the first wisteria flower we're going to crochet. You can make this as short or as long as you like. For me, I'm just going to chain 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm then going to place my stitch marker in the last chain that I created. This is not necessary, you don't have to do this, but for me it's a good visual reminder of where I need to stop my first flower. On the other hand, if you don't want to use a stitch marker, you're just going to have to remember how many chains that you did originally, and when you're crocheting the wisteria flower, stop when you reach that point. Next, we're going to begin the flower itself, and to do so, we need to create another series of chains. Like before, this can be customized to suit your preferences or the length that you want your flower. For me, I'm just going to chain 27. In total, I've crocheted 32, 27, and 5, but I'm not going to be working the first 5 chains that I did. I will stop when I reach my stitch marker. Again, you can customize the length of this second set of chains. If you'd like a really long flower, you can keep going and do, 100 chains. If you want it really short, you could do 12. It's entirely up to you. Step 3 is to create even more chains. So after we've crocheted the length of our wisteria, we're just going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. In the 4th chain from the hook, that means we're going to be skipping the 3 chains we just made. We're going to do a slip stitch. So again, 4th chain from the hook, count down if you need to. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to work into this stitch here. Insert your hook and slip stitch. And then we're going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3. We're going to slip stitch into the next chain. So insert your hook and slip stitch. Once more, chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. We'll slip stitch into the next stitch down again. And slip stitch. And like this, we're just going to make our way all the way down the flower chain until we reach our stopping point. So for me, that is where the stitch marker is. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch. And then my final one, chain 1, 2, and 3, and final slip stitch. And there we have it, flower 1 complete. In order to create the vines, we're just going to repeat this same process over and over and over again for as long as you want your vine to be. So now that I've crocheted my first flower, I'm going to do another series of chains that will be the space between my first and second flower. So I'm just going to take this stitch marker out. I don't need it there anymore. And then I'm going to chain 7. Like with everything else so far, this can be customized, so you can add more chains, you can do fewer chains, entirely up to you. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to pop my stitch marker back into that last chain. And just as a cheeky little reminder again, you don't have to use the stitch marker. Just remember how many chains that you crocheted and stop when you get to that point. Now that we've created our space in between, we're going to do another series of chains, which will be the foundation for our second flower. I'm going to do 15 this time. And 15. So this flower is going to be significantly shorter than the one I did at first, but I like that. I like mixing up how many chains I do, so my flowers are random sizes. But here's that word again, you can customize this to your preferences, so you can make all your flowers the same length if you want to. All right, to crochet the second flower, we're going to repeat what we did before. Start by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and then into the 4th chain from the hook, we're going to slip stitch. And then we're just going to continue our way back down the chain in this manner. So chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3, slip stitching into the next chain down until we come up against our stitch marker. And then slip stitch to finish. Like we did before, we're going to put a series of chains between flowers 2 and what will be 3. This time, I don't know, let's pick a random number. I'm going to do 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Take out my stitch marker from the previous chain and insert it into the last one I just crocheted. And then I'll create my chains for flower 3. And 12. So I've just crocheted 12 this time. Once more, I'll chain an additional 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into the 4th chain from the hook, and make my way back down the chain, chaining 3 and slip stitching as I go. So this is what we have so far. I'm going to stop there for the purposes of this tutorial, but if you want to make your vine longer, which I kind of imagine you would, just continue doing what we've already done. You will create a series of chains that will represent a space between each of the flowers. Then pop your stitch marker if you're using one in the last chain that you made. Crochet the chains you'll need for the flower, and then work back up them by chaining 3 and slip stitching into each chain. It's a fairly simple, straightforward pattern. We're just using chains to make this work. Once you've reached the end, so let's say this is my final flower in my vine here, you're going to chain an additional amount. Again, this can be customized. I'm going to do the same at the end here as I did at the start, which is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then you'll just snip your yarn, pull up with your hook, and just, well, take your stitch marker out, and your vine is done. You can, of course, leave it there, but what I would recommend you do, what I think looks really neat, is crocheting flowers in various different shades and then holding them or tying them together. I think that has quite a nice effect, but you are free to do with this whatever you like. Go forth and crochet all the wisteria. If you're interested, the full pattern, including the branches and the leaves, is available on Patreon. But thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you on Friday in the next one.